Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. This is another video on Laravel. So this is the first video we are making on Laravel. We have already learned all these things. We have learned a little bit of CSS3, HTML5. You have some books that I have given you to read a little bit. If you are very, very new to things, spend your time on reading them. It will really, really give you an eye opener. And then you have this Bootstrap tutorial, which I have given you, and there's a separate video for that as well. And then you have to submit your own one based on the tutorial I have created. And you have this PHP tutorial as well, which you have seen as the last item in today's class. So we have already seen an example of how we do customer.php. You can follow that one and try to submit your own version of hotel, and also for the versions of those room.php, and create those objects. So create objects and also show their data. That is basically what we are trying to do in the object-oriented form of PHP. So of course, if we are doing any PHP, what is left is the PHP 7, where we are going to do everything in object-oriented manner. Okay, there is no point of doing things in the old way where you create procedural programs and a lot of functions and a lot of things. Now we have the arena of object orientation, therefore we must use it, right? So PHP supports all these object-oriented concepts like encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, and this is going to be really, really good for you, exception handling, all those things. So we are going to use those features as much as we can. And as I told you guys, this class is not really about designing. It's not about look and feel. It's not about how does it look, or it's not about, though this header is not nice, I'm going to make a nice header, or this footer is not nice. It's not about that. It is about making sure that you have a good back end working. Okay, it's always about back end, only about back end. So we are going to create a backend, and the purpose of creating the backend is to make sure that you have learned as much of Laravel as possible. Because in the final assignment you can use it, in final year project you can use it, in the real world you can use it, in companies you can use it. You can't touch everything about Laravel, of course, because there are so many students and everyone is going to have a little bit of difficulties in understanding different areas. So some are good at Laravel, some are really, really new to Laravel, some haven't even done much tutorial on Laravel itself. So we have to try to see if we can do as much as we can. Now, let's start from here. There is a file called steps needed. Okay, so Laravel, basically for Laravel installation you have to do get composer. Step one is get composer. Before going into that, let me just tell you, you can see here on this notepad I have several tabs here showing all these ideas of things that I have learned across during the times. So what happens is, as much as when you are learning, when you are troubleshooting a little bit on these things, make sure that you do a little bit of playing around, playing around with Laravel, and also taking notes. So the best way is to use OneNote, tool OneNote, where you can put all these notes. But usually you don't get to time to organize your notes. So at least make sure you have these 4 files where you can save some tips, which you can watch later on, which you will come back to later on. And that is what I have done here. I'm going to share these things with you. So one of the things you can do immediately is you can go to Composer and download Composer. So once you get the Composer, you will have this Composer available for you, which is going to help you install things. So Composer is like, as the name suggests, compose. It composes things. Like create a coffee, it creates a coffee, like that. So Composer is going to help you install Laravel. It's going to manage packages for you. It's going to enable install all the global requirements that you have. So later on, you will do a lot of add-ons, and you are going to add all those other plugins and update Composer. So Composer update will update all those new plugins that you are going to add. Even in our case, there will be one even at the beginning. Okay, so first of all, you have to get Composer running in your system. There will be a installable file. In fact, if you click here, it will take us. Why it's not going there? Okay, sometimes showing, sometimes not showing. Okay, so composer.org, basically all these Laravel websites and Laracast and these things, they have a lot of data as well for you to refer. So there are so many resources on the internet. It's never about resources, it's always about time. Things are not about time, about resources, guys. Resources are there out there. There are videos, there are PDFs, all these things are there in lindown.com, in LinkedIn, in Udemy. You can find so many courses. It's never about courses, it's always about time. Are you spending enough time? So get this Windows installer Composer over here, and then install Composer. Once you install Composer, you're going to be able to open your command prompt and write Composer, and it's going to give you this message box, which means Composer runs properly. Okay, so once you have Composer, what you have to do is install Apache. Okay, of course here it doesn't tell you that, but please install WAMP server. You can install WAMP, you can install XAMPP, you can install LAMP, whatever it is that you are familiar with most, you already have with you. So install that system, and once you install that, what you are going to have is this icon where you have WAMP server running. In some Windows systems, sometimes WAMP server doesn't run properly. It will be orange, and you can test that by clicking this one and going into, sorry, you can click this one and going into your Apache and checking the service, install service. When you click install service, automatically it will show you here your port 80 is actually used by, and then it will show you if it is your Apache or if it is something else. Sometimes it will show you some Microsoft service here, and then if that is the case, your Apache will not run properly. And how do you do that is after you install WAMP server and you get this page called localhost. This is fine. This means your Apache is running properly. But if this says page not found, page is not running, then one of the things you can do is you can immediately go into services.msc and look for a service in Windows called branch cache, because Windows 10, this service actually automatically runs and it takes up port 80 for whatever reasons. I couldn't find why it's using it, but just disable it and then it will work for your case. Okay, and then you have Laravel running. All right, so that is the installation of the WAMP and also Composer. Once you have Composer, then you will install your project. Okay, so there are many ways to create a Composer Laravel project, and this is one example. Okay, of course, don't worry about this part. This is not something that exists in the Composer. And to do this, you first go into your www folder. Okay, and in the www folder, you have to install the project you want. Okay, let me tell you why. So you go to your command prompt, cd c wamp, wamp www. This is the folder. Why? Because this is where your older directories are. So this is going to be your website directories. So be here, and then you run Composer. Okay, so Composer create project Laravel/Laravel, then themepark.com, because this is your assignment. You can create this name or you can create another name you want. For my case, I have installed themepark.com.mv, and what this does is this creates a themepark.com.mv folder inside your WAMP server, inside your www folder. So if we go into our www folder right now, we will see in our www folder cwamp www, I have this folder called themepark.com.mv, and this is a basic installation of Laravel. So when you insert this command is going to download Laravel from internet. You must have internet, guys, okay, in order to do this. Now there is another way to do this, and that is remember, again, when you are learning these things, take notes. That's how you learn things. That is this way. Sometimes you can install Laravel as a global item. You can install Laravel as a global item, then use Laravel directly to create your project. Okay, so this is going to create a local project for you. And one of the things you have to do is, if you create this way, is after you create the project directly, you have to go into the folder and update. So you have to run Composer update after this. Composer update inside the folder. Yeah, inside the folder. That means you create the project, then you open the project on this Visual Studio Code editor. So wait for a while. It will take almost a minute or two to install this because they are being taken from the internet. Okay, so both ways will work fine, but this you can follow the tutorial the way I have given you. That will not make any problems. So you do this, okay, and once you do this, it's going to create this folder inside your WAMP folder. Now if you already have created the WAMP folder, what you can do is you can open up file, open folder. Let's go to that project, themepark.com.mv. This is the project we are just opening up. I called it themepark.com.mv because that's the domain name I'm trying to use here in the system. Okay, so if you are on Windows, one of the tools that some students use is Live Server, and Live Server is going to show you nicely those HTML pages and CSS. But if you have Laravel website running, then the best way to do is what I'm going to show you using virtual hosts. There is a method where you can easily open up the console or the terminal. So you can go to view terminal, and then it's going to open this terminal to you. You can actually use control tilde. Control tilde will also open this. And again, control tilde will hide it, because when you are using, when you become a power user of Visual Studio, then it's always wonderful to have these shortcuts, and it will open up directly in your folder. See, so here you are going to compose update. Always remember to run compose update if you downloaded a file, if you downloaded a project from internet, or if you copied a project, or if you got something from GitHub, for example. Let's say if you have a repo and you have duplicated or cloned the repo from the GitHub. Now, many of you might be using GitHub. Some of you may be very new to it. Don't worry about it. It's better not to use GitHub if you're not familiar with it. Okay, it's a good framework for people who are using programming when you have a team. If you are doing it alone, still you can use it, no problem. But if you are already on a drive, or if you are on a PC and your PC is safe, there is no problem of doing it on GitHub as such. I mean, if you are learning, yes, go for it. But the problem with learning GitHub, if you are not already familiar with it, is going to be a blocking point for your project, and you will have several issues, because you have to do all those publishers, and you have to make sure you do margin and branching properly. Otherwise, you are going to be in trouble. So then you will say, I mistakenly lost all my work. Don't worry about that. Do it locally. Don't worry about GitHub if you don't already have GitHub, if you are not familiar with GitHub. So just create a local folder on your system, open the folder this way, and then there what you have is a small example of a installation, a basic installation. Okay, and of course you just saw me close the customer.php file. There's something new because I wanted to show you something extra here, but don't worry about that. Okay, anyway, so the basic installation of Laravel will be installed once you insert those commands, and you can download it here. Now, in PHP, in Laravel, there is a tool called PHP Artisan. So if you are in this folder here, and then you insert uh, PHP Artisan serve and give a port number. So, or just say PHP Artisan serve. PHP Artisan serve will open a site for you where you will see your site temporarily, and then after a while you can of course kill it, and then the site will be down. So basic point is your terminal will be busy then, right? So don't make your terminal busy for that. But in order to do that, of course, you can use Windows terminal and then run it here also. It doesn't matter. But my point is there is an easier and permanent way of doing this, and that is you go to your Apache directory, find Apache, because once you are set up, it will not change. You don't have to worry about setting it up again. Go to your Apache folder. Here there's something called vhost, http vhost.config. Find this file. See, I already have some files here which I used. So that's the reason why sometimes when you see me type in SQL slash, it brings up this tool, because this is the tool I'm using for my SQL access through the MySQL database, because it focuses on what I want to teach. Okay, so like that, I even have the project ones from Zaid. So I have here. Anyway, so themepark.com.mv, you create an entry like this. This is a virtual host entry. You can type it like this. Virtual host, it runs on port 80. Don't change the port. Many hosts can run on port 80. Don't open new ports. Just make it virtual host. So my server name is going to be themepark.com.mv. It can be anything else. Your folder name and this name does not have to match. It's just a name you are making up. So alias. Alias means, do I have another name that I can refer to this? Yeah, if you want a quick short name, you can use auto. Both of them refer to the same directory. And what is the directory? The document root directory is my Laravel installation folder followed by public. Make sure you put public. If you don't put public, it's going to take you into some kind of an index page. So include public directory, and also don't worry about this installation directory. You can give the complete path, or you can give the path like this with $ bracket install directory is a Windows. This will automatically pick up your installation directory, and then you'll be able to easily give your path. Okay, so on some systems it may differ a little bit. You can try a little bit on the internet to see what others have done if you come to a problem there. But generally speaking, this will work out fine. So it will find out where your WAMP installation is, and then Apache installation is, and then find the www folder and put your access your site here. So both of them means, and this is the document root, and include both of them here. This is your security rule you are applying in order to allow uh, from outside or from inside for those kind of changes. So you create a folder like this, update that entry into the vhost file. After you have updated the vhost file, copy this name, themepark.com.mv name, and then you go and do something else. And that something else is you go to your C drive, Windows, System32, drivers, and etc. You remember your host file? This is the host file. Because although Apache knows your host, Windows doesn't know about your host. So go to your host file, edit this file. In order to edit this file, you have to open Notepad++ in administrator mode. Remember, there is a small hack for this. You can just copy this file into your desktop and then open up and edit and come back and save it. That will allow you to overwrite it. And what is in this file will be, let me open it up, your file name. So this is the Windows localhost IP. You can even write localhost here because then it will resolve it automatically. So localhost meaning my site is my themepark.com.mv is not on the internet. It is on this PC. So use a name that is not out there. Okay, otherwise you will not be able to access when your server is up. Themepark.com.mv doesn't exist. Maybe we can do a business on it, right? So then you create this localhost site and both alias and the actual name you have used. Then you save it. Make sure you save it. After you do that, just go and hit Apache, right click, restart all service, or refresh. Uh, okay, if you have done it earlier, also that's fine. Windows host file is not related to Apache, but you have to do the restart of Apache after you do the vhost file. What that does is that allows you to have the Laravel installation folder. So I actually deleted the Laravel installation folder already, but let me just show you the file. So themepark.com.mv or themepark alone is going to take me to this page. This is the custom page I have created in order to teach you in the second class. So next class I'll teach you how you can bring out your own page. But by default, the Laravel page will be, let's see, default Laravel page. I have deleted this welcome page actually. Default Laravel page will be, it will say welcome to Laravel. You know, maybe one of these screens will show you that. It will just have, okay, this is one of the best IDE for those who are doing PHP Storm, they say. It is very good. I have never used it. You know, I'm not really such of a huge developer. I'm just trying myself. I don't really have time to do anything else outside teaching and doing my day job at office. So, no, you can keep on dreaming. Laravel homepage. Yeah, I wanted to show you that one. I just didn't have. Oh, yeah, this is how Laravel looks like, you know. So I don't have a separate page right now running. I have already deleted this page. So this is the page you'll get. Laravel, welcome to Laravel. It will open up. Don't go for Laravel sub. If you go for Laravel sub, this is the page you get like this. Go for the virtual host. You create the virtual host. Then automatically when you type here theme park, it will automatically take you to this page. When you see this page, Laravel, you are fine. Your setup of Laravel is ready. So this is the minimum you can do uh, before you start week 3 class. Okay, so before we start week 3 class, make sure everyone has this Laravel up and running, and then your Laravel setup is ready. Start watching videos, read some books, a little bit about Laravel structure, Laravel basic tutorial, blah blah blah. I want you to play around with Laravel before we start the class also. Okay, so I'm not going to go into much details. That is just a basic installation of Laravel, and we are going to use all these uh, folders here. We are going to do the editing here. So everything that we do will be done on the Visual Studio Code. And another important thing to remember is, although you have this structure here, we are not going to create all these things because this is left for your assignment. We are only going to touch on customer as an example, and you will create the rest of the pages. And slowly we will come back to other types of exercises as well as time passes. So in your case, after installation, spend some time on learning what the framework means, what they have. For example, I will quickly go through them. You have here the app folder. Inside the app folder is one of the most important folder, and that is HTTP. In the HTTP folders, you have your controllers. This is where your controllers will come. And controllers are created by command. Middleware, this is where your middleware is going to be, and we are going to talk about middleware later on. And sometimes you create middlewares in between your pages. So this is like a middleware that you place in a controller, which will check against it. So later on, don't worry about that. And in the providers, you might create some provider files later on. So under the HTTP, most important folders you will normally touch is the controllers folder and these models, customer.php, user.php. Initially, when you install Laravel, there is no customer.php, it's just user.php, and you are not going to have any database. Okay, you are not going to have database. So that we will touch later on. That is basically migrations, which we will touch later on. And then you have your bootstrap installation folder here where it does the setup. And then you have your config folder. Inside config folder, many times we will be touching on app.php. This is going to be a folder where you're going to add your providers. So this later on we'll touch. And also in the database folder, you will have your migrations. This is basically the only thing we will touch. We are not going to do any seeding here. We are going to do sample data by inserting the data from the form itself. So if you are testing the sample data, I suggest you use PHP MyAdmin to install the sample data for your server. Don't use the seeding here in order to create random data there. Anyway, do whatever is pleasing to use better. Anyway, though, this is the database migration where you're going to create your folder of table structures, and from there you will trigger your migration commands to create the database in MySQL. You are never going to enter create table commands inside data commands. Those SQLs are long gone. Okay, we are going to use the framework itself when we are interacting with the database. So it's very, very interesting and very easy. And then you have the public folder, which is what the customer is going to be able to access. In your public folder, you have what the customers will be visiting. So in your public folder, you will have all those access homepage where the customers will land initially. And this is the index page that you see, for example, which we have shown. And then perhaps this is not the exact page. It is in the routes. Okay, so public page is the default page the customer has access to, and from there it walks all the way into your files. Now go into the resources folder. Okay, so in the resources folder you will see there is a lot of data here. This is basically the most important folder where you're going to create your pages. All your pages that you create are going to be created here. So in the resources folder, views folder, you will have a lot of views later on, like customer layouts. You're going to have all your pages here. Later on we'll come to that. And routes, this is also one of the important pages, and among them is the web.php. So web.php, we will study this separately when we study routing, and that is where the customer is instructed where to go, where the person who is using the web is instructed where to do, what to do when something is clicked. So the navigation of the customer throughout the site is routed using routes. Okay, so storage, little bit of storage for cache and also for session storage, and then testing for unit tests and also for other types of tests you might be running. So these things we are not going to touch much. Vendor folder is the biggest folder actually in your system. If you upload it to GitHub, for example, it will not upload vendors folder because vendors folder is something predefined, and if you have any file that is needed here, that will be there in your Composer would have inserted it into your composer.json file here. This will have it. So once you download a folder from GitHub, for example, when you run Composer update, it's going to bring about all these vendor folders, and you will have a fresh installation of vendor folder in your system. So vendors folder are not normally uploaded by the code repositories like that. But if you are in your system, of course, it's there, right? So that is the vendors folder. We are never going to touch vendors folder. Folder is the folder that contains all these external libraries that we are using and whatever other types of global libraries we might be using. And one of the initial pages you will have to configure is your env file, .env file. .env file is the MySQL or whatever types of database you are using. You have to give here your database username password. So in the case of MySQL, you have to give your app URL, you have to give your MySQL string, localhost, port, and also your database name and your database username password. So those are important things for you to remember. And then you can change these things as well, and later on in the session variable also there will be something like this that you have to change. So for now, don't worry about that. So that is the good explanation of what these things are about, so that is a good installation of Laravel. And the video has gone quite lengthy, so next class when we come back, I hope everyone has watched this video, and then we are going to start up again with another little startup, because always it's about preparation to start a nice website. You can't just start things, because then things going to be messy. You must be really, really organized. Okay, guys, thank you very much for watching. That's a good video, I think. So you can follow it, watch it. Any comments you have, send me over Telegram, and then we can discuss. And I hope the sessions I'm making here are helpful for you, beneficial for you. And as I said, I'm sitting and recording these videos around here where you might hear a little bit of noises here and there, of a dog creaking or door opening, of a child coming in, or some sneezing, whatever it is. So thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate your time and interest and your support on this course, on this module. I really appreciate everyone submitting the tutorials in accordance, and also to get the attendance, please make sure you do that. Thank you very much.